Hi friends, welcome back to Agape Vlogs. This time your comments have forced me to come back very fast and I wish Jitendra Parmar, Lina Castellino, Ruby Bellabo, Shama CK, Akila Benichin, Gourmet Sangmo, Betty Nava, Rao DS, Charity, Shiba Saji, Asha James, Akshara, Raki Sajish, Anla Philip, Liz and Ani Arun of grand success in your forthcoming exams. Let's not waste time. Also do keep marking your scores. 21st question of test 5. How do the structures of the human body work together to provide support and assist in movement? Options are option A, the skeleton provides a structural framework. This is moved by the muscles that contract or extend and in order to function cross at least one joint and are attached to the articulating bones. Option B, the muscles provide a structural framework and are moved by bones to which they are attached by ligaments. Option C, the skeleton provides a structural framework that is moved by ligaments that stretch and contract. And option D, the muscles provide a structural framework moving by contracting or extending, crossing at least one joint and attached to the articulating bones. So these are the four options and option A and option D looks alike and the right option is option A. I hope you have got it right. I advise you to observe the options very keenly and don't blindly tick the answers. Option A says the skeleton provides a structural framework and option D says the muscles provide a structural framework and the remaining part is same. So don't be in a rush, stay cool and analyze the options. Moving on to the 22nd question, what are the most common effects of inactivity? Options are option A, pulmonary embolism, urinary tract infection and fear of people. Option B, deep arterial thrombosis, respiratory infection, fear of movement, loss of consciousness, decondition of cardiovascular system leading to an increased risk of angina. Option C, loss of weight, frustration and deep vein thrombosis. Option D, social isolation, loss of independence, exacerbation of symptoms, rapid loss of strength in leg muscles, decondition of cardiovascular system, leading to increased risk of chest infection and pulmonary embolism. So right option is option D, what I read just now. So these are the most common effects of inactivity. Okay, let's go on to the next question. Question number 23. What do you need to consider when helping a patient with shortness of breath sit out in a chair? Options are, they shouldn't sit out in a chair. Lying flat is the only position for someone with shortness of breath so that there are no negative effects of gravity putting pressure on the lungs. Option B, sitting in a reclining position with the legs elevated to reduce the use of postural muscle oxygen requirements, increasing lung volumes and optimizing perfusion for the best V/Q ratio. The patient should also be kept in an environment that is quiet so they don't expend any unnecessary energy. Option C, the patient needs to be able to sit in a forward leaning position supported by pillows. They may also need access to a nebulizer and humidified oxygen, so they must be in a position where this is accessible without being a risk to others. And option D is, there are two possible positions, either sitting upright or side lying, which is determined by the age of the patient. It is also important to remember that they will always need a nebulizer and oxygen and the air temperature must be below 20 degrees Celsius. So what answer did you tick right? Option C is the right answer. That is, the patient needs to be able to sit in a forward leaning position supported by pillows. And they may also need access to a nebulizer and humidified oxygen. So they must be in a position where this is accessible without being a risk to others. So that's the right option. And on to 24th question. Your patient has bronchitis and has difficulty in clearing his chest. What position would help to maximize the drainage of secretions? Options are option A, lying flat on his back while using a nebulizer. Option B, sitting up leaning on pillows and inhaling humidified oxygen. Option C, lying on his side with the area to be drained uppermost after the patient has had humidified air. and option D, standing up in fresh air, taking deep breath. So what's the right answer? You have guessed. The right answer is option C, that is lying on his side, with the area to be drained uppermost after the patient has had humidified air. That's the right answer. I don't know whether all of you have got it right. Anyways, let's move on to the next question. Question number 25. Purdue categorizes constipation as primary, secondary, or iatrogenic. What could be some of the causes of iatrogenic constipation? Options are: option A, inadequate diet and poor fluid intake, anal fissures, colonic tumors, or hypercalcemia is option B. Option C, lifestyle changes and ignoring the urge to defecate, and option D, antiemetic or opioid medication. So what are the causes of iatrogenic constipation? The right answer is antiemetic or opioid medication. Hope all of you have got it right. So let's move on to 26th question. Before that, let me remind you to give me a like if you really like my vlogs and would like to keep it going on. So don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Question number 26. A patient is admitted to the ward with symptoms of acute diarrhea. What should your initial management be? Assessment, protective isolation, universal precautions, option A. Option B, assessment, source isolation, antibiotic therapy, and option C, assessment, protective isolation and anti-motility medication, and option D, assessment, source isolation and universal precautions. So all the options look alike and the right option is option D, that is assessment, source isolation and universal precautions. Hope you have all got it right. Question number 27. Your patient has undergone a formation of a loop colostomy. What important considerations should be borne in mind when selecting an appropriate stoma appliance for your patient? Option A, dexterity of the patient, consistency of effluent, type of stoma. Option B, patient preference, type of stoma, consistency of effluent, state of peristomal skin and dexterity of patient. Option C, patient preference, lifestyle, position of stoma, consistency of effluent, state of peristomal skin, dexterity of patient and type of stoma. And option D, cognitive ability, lifestyle, patient dexterity, position of stoma, state of peristomal skin, type of stoma, consistency of effluent and patient preference. So this is the right option, that is option D is the right option. Okay. Question number 28. What type of diet would you recommend to a patient who has a newly formed stoma? Options are: option A, encourage high fiber food to avoid constipation. Option B, encourage lots of vegetables and fruits to avoid constipation. Option C, encourage a varied diet as people can react differently. And option D, avoid spicy food because they can cause erratic function. So what's the right answer here? Encourage a varied diet as people can react differently. That is option C is the right option. Okay, let's move on to question number 29. Question number 29. What would be your main objectives in providing stoma education when preparing a patient with a stoma for discharge home? Options are: option A, that the patient can independently manage their stoma and can get supplies. Option B, that the patient has had their appliance changed regularly and knows their community stoma nurse. Option C, that the patient knows the community stoma nurse and has a prescription. And option D, that the patient has a referral to the district nurses for stoma care. So the right option would definitely be that the patient can independently manage their stoma and can get their supplies. So that's all. That's the right option. 29th question we have done, and now we are going to the 30th question. Okay. Friends, I also thank you all for the lovely comments you have been posting, and it has all been encouraging and I appreciate it. And all the new subscribers, please watch these vlogs from test 1 till test 5, and I also appreciate more comments in the comment box. Please do keep commenting, and please also don't forget to subscribe. Some people are watching my videos without subscribing or without clicking on the bell icon. Friends, the 30th question is a very simple one, and I also want to tell you that these days NMC CBT questionnaires are found to be very simplified questionnaires. So Agape Vlogs is trying to help you to meet to take all the challenges in regard to the questionnaires that would pop up in your exams. So all of you, I know you are going to be winners. And the 30th question is, when communicating with someone who isn't a native English speaker, which of the following is not advisable? Options are: option A, using a translator; option B, use short precise sentence; and option C, relying on your family or friends to help explain what you mean; and option D is write things down. So what are you going to do? First of all, read the question once again, because you thought the question is simple, but there is a trick there in the question. That is, the question is asking you which is not advisable. It's not what is advisable, what is not advisable. So option C, that is relying on your family or friends to help explain what you mean, is the right answer. Hope all of you have got all the questions right. Okay, now keep yourself boosted up with confidence, and you're going to write your exams and come back with your photographs and present locations. Forward me to agape@gmail.com. Okay friends, bye bye, take care.